When explorer Ernest Giles first saw the Central Australian icon Uluru in 1872, he concluded it was a structure built by a race of giants. Giles, the first white man to see the amazing sandstone rock, could perhaps be forgiven for his imaginative mistake. After weeks of walking through the flatlands of Australia's deep red centre, Uluru, also known as Ayers Rock, must have seemed like an entity from another world. Uluru towers above an otherwise flat landscape. It stands 348 metres high and is nearly 10 kilometres in circumference. An unobstructed 360-degree view of its familiar red sandstone gives viewers a continual light show as the colour of the rock changes with the time of day and more gradually through each season. Uluru and its surrounding areas have great cultural significance for the local traditional owners, the Anangu Aboriginal people. At the nearby Docker River community, the Nyangatjatjara people have taken a bold initiative to improve their own conditions while taking care of the local environment. Experts say there are around 750,000 camels roaming around the outback, so the Nyangatjatjara are building a series of stockades to trap wild camels in a bid to tap into the lucrative Asian and Middle Eastern markets.
And we'll work really hard to make us this community strong so that we can let the world know that we're doing it for, not for us community, but for everybody, you know. Everybody might have a look, oh yeah, well they're doing it good, you know, in Dog River. So some people might come, they have a look for themselves, you know, for themselves, and that we have what we're doing here. We're showing them.
The project was created by the Nyangatjatjara Aboriginal Corporation in a region where the unemployment is over 50%. A tank of water inside the stockade will attract the camels, and then after a few weeks the crew will install one-way gates trapping the animals.
Yeah, I believe camels will be very, very successful because they breed out here. You don't actually have to maintain them. They're very maintenance-free, and yeah, every year the numbers are improving, and yeah, they're basically free for the community to sort of harvest.
Camels were brought into Central Australia by Afghani railway builders and explorers who relied on the hardy animals to travel through the harsh desert. Most were released in the mid-1920s, when motor vehicles began operating in the central areas of Australia, and they established free-ranging herds in the semi-arid desert. Nowadays, their descendants are some of the healthiest camels in the world, and they range across northern, western and South Australia. Tourists to Central Australia often count a camel ride as top of their to-do list.
Because we're in Australia, and that was one of the things that we had read about the camels being brought in, and I wanted to experience that.
But there is also an ecological imperative attached to camel harvesting. Wild camels cover huge areas of the desert and may outnumber red kangaroos by about 100 to 1.
If camels aren't brought under control and the population growth rate isn't reversed, that we'll be in a situation where the Australian deserts which aren't really true deserts, will eventually become true deserts. They will become devoid of a lot of vegetation, and they won't be places where Australian native animal species can live and survive.
Glenn Edwards, Senior Scientist at the Northern Territory Parks and Wildlife Services, recommends culling or removing these wild camels from the desert to keep numbers down. If the Docker River camel muster proves successful, then this could be one way of reducing the local camel population and also promoting the local economy.